How's it going, everyone? This is Jason Navarro. You're listening to Tongues Out Podcast, and let's just jump right into today's subject of just more sad news. No, I'm joking. Actually, semi sad actually, in the sense that yesterday I did a podcast on a series called The Good Place. How it just recently became one of my definitely top 5 favorite series I've ever watched. Ever. I don't really watch too many series, to be honest. I think the only ones I've ever completed are How I Met Your Mother, um, Breaking Bad. I finished any, and I mean, I'm always watching South Park, but that's always going. But series that have ended, I think those are the only 2. But now I have, no, there's more. Sherlock, all the Sherlock Holmes. I'm lying. My memory's not there. Sherlock, Elementary. Oh, 24. And that's it. But I got another one, sadly, to add to the list, and that is The Good Place. I finished it with my wife today. I'm not going to lie. I got super duper emotional on the last episode. Like heavily emotional. Crying, tears, both my wife and I, but I think I probably did more of the crying. And I am not going to spoil anything about the series as much as I would love to talk about the premise of this last season. I will touch on something though, and that's the idea of death. And look, first off, just bringing up that word right now probably isn't the right time to be talking about it, especially when there's so much death happening all around us all the time due to this pandemic, either exasperating people's health conditions that they're in at the moment or actually killing them. But when you talk about death, honestly, I don't think there's ever a good time to talk about it, because there's just someone I know that has lost someone recently to dying, and death does fascinate me. I think everyone's fascinated by death to some degree. I think a lot of us though use the idea to really like not think about it at all, and or like they dodge further thought into one's death. Like they might delve into other people's experiences, but they stop thinking about it very quickly when they start to kind of trickle that into their own life. And I've had many of individuals already that have passed away that I've known personally, family, friends. I'm at that age now where it's commonplace to every year to know someone that passes, which sucks, to be honest, because it's definitely a painful experience. To those that lose like very close loved ones, I don't know how they can cope with those things. But on those notes, I've always been very fascinated by the idea of death, like what happens afterwards. And this is coming from an individual that doesn't believe in an afterlife. Like I don't believe in any religion that has that idea that there is some kind of afterlife when you pass. Do I think that your mental state can continue to exist? Like, man, this is philosophical stuff, and this is like why I loved The Good Place, because it's all philosophy. I love philosophy. Because of that series, I just recently started watching one of my favorite YouTube channels, which is called Crash Course. Really awesome stuff. If you're ever looking to get yourself educated on any kind of subject and looking for something that's engaging, artistic, has some good speakers or narrators, Crash Course is it. And so anyways, there is a philosophy segment, and Crash Course is like multiple different like school-based courses like math, science, derivative-based subjects, and I'm right now watching the philosophy segments, and I love them. I watched them a while back. They came out like 3 years ago for the philosophy one, and I was super excited to see when it came out because I love philosophy. But anyways, yeah, there's this lack of understanding of what consciousness is. Like we take it for granted every millisecond of our daily lives, where you go out, you live the world, you're able to question what's going on in your life. Sometimes you don't question what you're doing, but there's always a choice. You always have this voice that's in your head that you communicate with, or you're just aware of your life in general. And that form of consciousness, no one knows where that comes from. Everyone has it, and no one knows if that's something that's purely brain based or if it's something more than that. But I'm on the cusp of wondering, like, if people pass, does their consciousness cease to exist, or does it just kind of exist in a different plane of existence outside of this material plane? Is what I'm stealing that from Dungeons and Dragons. Essentially, there's different planes of existence in Dungeons and Dragons, and the one that everyone kind of the more popular one is the material plane, which is what we would consider like everything we see on Earth and space and everything. That's a material plane, but there are definitely different planes, and I don't know. Like I feel like maybe when you pass, your subconscious state goes into a different plane of existence, but your obviously your physical body kind of just goes into the ground and deteriorates and rots and goes back to the cycle of contributing to the everlasting cycle of life, I guess, where from your dead body comes microorganisms and food for many different animals. On a note of death, I've always wondered to myself how I want to be like buried, I guess. Not buried, but I do not want to be buried. But I'm always debating as to what I want to have done to my body when I pass. I really don't like the idea of cremation. I really don't want anyone to hold my ashes. I think that's kind of creepy and weird. And I'm going to offend some of my friends that I know personally that have family members that are ashes. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with your choice of doing that. For me, though, it seems pretty creepy. Even when you could take those ashes and turn it into like a form of jewelry, I don't want someone to wear me. 80% of my choice is to donate my body to science and have researchers and people go in and I'm definitely an organ donor for sure, but I don't know if I want like for the rest of my body, whatever's not needed for like organs, to like have researchers go in there and just do whatever with my body. I don't mind that. Honestly, I'm dead. Who cares? For me at least. And I think for my loved ones, I would want them to understand that like I'm trying to contribute to science and advancing medicine. So if my dead body could be used for that, that's great. But whatever's left over from all of that, I would like to, and this is becoming a thing that's very popular. It's like where people take their loved ones and they wrap them in these fungi. They're like ecosystem suits. And essentially when you bury them, you don't bury them in a casket. You kind of bury them into the ground. And then the thing that they have that they're wearing has like fungi and different things that can help the local. It can generate like an ecosystem from your dead body, but like promote that growth, like funguses, bacteria, microorganisms, all of that stuff from your body, which I think is a pretty cool concept, to be honest. And so what I would want to be done with my body when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I wanted cryostasis, but honestly, when you look at cryostasis and you actually think about it more thoroughly, they're a business and any business can go bankrupt. And if a cryo company goes bankrupt and they're holding my body, they can't just like send it to a hospital to maintain me. Like afterwards, they're just gonna go under, and then all like that infrastructure is gonna go. And then if you can't maintain me being cold, then I'm just gonna rot. So I don't want to waste my body that way. Like if I could cryostate myself for a short time period, sure. Like if it's like a year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, five max, maybe. But anything longer, and there's no guarantee that that business is going to be still around. And then I don't want to be like someone that just tossed away as an ice cube to rot. That's kind of weird. But yeah, I'm leaning right now on the donate my body to science, and then whatever's left over, kind of make a little ecosystem, put it out there, and have little organisms grow off of me. Hopefully a tree will grow off of me as well. That'd be kind of cool. I think that is a thing, like where essentially a tree will grow from your body. I think that would be super awesome. But yeah, I mean, honestly, death has just always been a fascinating thing to me. I just, the idea that all of this comes to an end is just something that I just don't really accept. And I love the idea that science is really trying to counteract death, at least the aging way of death. Like you can't, no matter what, probability is always going to catch up to you. Like even if we were to end aging, some kind of physical trauma is going to kill you. We're pretty soft and sensitive creatures. I mean, if a car hits me, I'm dead. Even if I don't age, I'm going to die anyways. And if you live for thousands and thousands of years, eventually some freak accident's going to kill you. Car accident, plane crash, meteorite strike, cold, disease, something's going to kill you. So you can't live forever. But there are scientists that are at least trying to end aging, which I think is pretty cool. But, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how why I'm fascinated by the idea of death, because I know a lot of people just are not. They are not fascinated by it at all. And so when I do these thought experiments, I always think of them in like a personal sense, like what happens when I die, like not what other people, but like when I die, will I die? Like is science going to catch up to a point where I don't die? And then if that's the thing, then do I start questioning like, what are the odds of like me living long enough where I don't die? But I don't know. It's a interesting subject, but it's crazy to think about that it comes to an end. And then it makes you want, like, when you know that, like, to think back to like all your loved ones and friends that are going to pass as well. That's the hardest thing for me. Like, I don't ever want my passing to affect anyone. Like, I want to outlive all the people that love me, because I don't want them to be sad by my passing. My biggest wish is that if I pass away, that people just take my life and just dissect it and dissect only the good things, like all the positive things, and then, keep whatever portion of that is important to them, to themselves, and then hopefully pass that to other people. I think that would be great. And then just celebrate my passing. I don't want people to mourn my passing. Like, that's just not the type of contribution I want to make to society. So I want all my loved ones to live a very fruitful life, but I don't want to pass before anyone else, not because of a selfish reason, but more because I don't want to negatively impact people. And yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of selfish in a degree to, say something like that out loud, but I don't know. It has always perplexed me, the idea of death. Like, just this idea that we're born into a universe where that's a thing, where people have to die. It's just kind of a drag, to be honest. But either way, like, I don't want this to, like, I'll try to navigate this without being like very sad. Like I promised yesterday, I don't want these podcasts to be very sad. They're happening later than I would normally want them to be happening, but it's just So if I look tired, it's because of that. But it's been a hectic couple weeks. So I'm trying to like keep that positivity on the lowest energy level I could be at. Like I'm not gonna lie, every single time I end these podcasts, my face just goes like right into bed. But either way, thank you guys so much for listening to today's podcast, and I'll catch you guys mañana. Peace.